Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Inside Legends. The date is Thursday, January 22nd, 2026, and today we're going to be talking about this breaking news coming out of the state of New York that nets Democrats one seat, one House congressional GOP-held seat in the state of New York. Just yesterday, on Wednesday, January 21st, 2026, a New York judge ruled on Wednesday, that this Republican rep from New York, in New York City, I may add, the only Republican district in New York City, was ruled unconstitutionally and must be redistricted and redrew ahead of the 2026 midterms. The governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, ordered the Independent Commission to redraw the map by February 6th. That means within about 2 weeks, New York is going to have a new congressional map that nets Democrats one congressional seat. The reason this is happening is because the judge ruled the district to be illegal, to be unconstitutional, because it disenfranchises Black and Latino voters in the district. Like I said, this was the only Republican district in New York. That's true. This is New York City, of course, in New York, and it's all blue except for this one district. It's the one Republican district, has Staten Island and a part of Southern Queens, and its Republican was 28. And this ruling says that this district disenfranchises Black and Latino voters so that they don't have the representation that they would have if they're in upper New York City, if they're in the downtown New York City. And this district is going to be redrawn in 2 weeks. And the reason this is so important, in my opinion, is because it evens out the playing field. Let me show you what I mean. This entire redistricting war started in 2025, of course. It started with Greg Abbott and Donald Trump trying to redraw the state of Texas. They tried to redraw Texas and net Republicans 5 seats to hijack the 2026 midterms because they know that they are going to lose. So they know that the only way that they could win is by gerrymandering the state of Texas and other states to give them extra seats in the House of Representatives so that Democrats do not steal the House. Take back the House, I should say. It's not stealing if they win it fairly. But to do this, Republicans gerrymandered 5 seats out of the state of Texas. Then they gerrymandered 1 out of the state of Missouri. Then 1 out of the state of North Carolina. So that did net Republicans 7 seats, which is really 14 seats in the House of Representatives. Right now, Democrats are down by 5. And if they lost 7, it would be 208 to Republicans 227. That would be a 19-seat majority for the Republican Party should the map stay the same, from a 5-seat majority to a 19-seat majority if this had gone through. However, unlike in the past, Democrats fought back. Democrats are fighting back. In response to Republicans in Texas, Missouri, and North Carolina, they proposed a redistricting amendment to the California voters. Unlike in Texas and Missouri and North Carolina, where the legislature just went above the voters' heads and just redistricted and said, you don't have a say in this. Haha. Democrats went to the voters in the state of California and said, do you want to redistrict California and gerrymander 5 seats in response to Republicans in Texas and North Carolina and Missouri? They said yes, overwhelmingly by 30 points, 29 points. And so it did. Democrats redistricted California and will net Democrats 5 seats ahead of the 2026 midterms. And they also went for Utah. Because the Utah map was deemed unconstitutional because it disenfranchises Democratic voters in the state of Utah. And the judge who ruled on that, just like the judge who's ruling on this district in New York and ruling that the district must be redrawn, they ruled on this district in Utah and is going to be redrawn so that Democrats have a solid 20-point margin Democratic seat in the state of Utah. That brings us to the map right now. Democrats have 6 net seats in the redistricting war. Republicans have 7. However, with this news out of the state of New York, it evens out the playing field. That 6 to 7, I'm not even going to make a joke about that. That 6 seats Democrats have to Republicans 7, with this district out of New York going to be a safe Democratic seat now, it's 7 to 7. It's evening out the playing field. When this whole war started with Republicans attempting to gerrymander Texas to give Republicans an advantage in the midterms, it's evened out. Democrats have gerrymandered 7, Republicans gerrymandered 7. And while this number may not stay the same because Democrats are trying to gerrymander Virginia and Republicans are trying to gerrymander Florida, Democrats are trying to gerrymander 4 seats out of Virginia, this one, this one, this one, and this one, to turn them from Republican to Democrat. Republicans are trying to do the same thing in the state of Florida. They're trying to gerrymander, like Ron DeSantis called in April, the special legislative session to gerrymander the state of Florida. He's trying to gerrymander the 4 seats out of the state of Florida. They're trying to gerrymander this one, this one, this one, and 1 to 2 out of Miami. We'll say 1 because the article says they're trying to gerrymander about 4 seats. I think it's what it says. 3 to 5 seats. So it could be 3, could be 5. They'll probably go for 5 because of course it's Florida. And that will bring them out to 10 to 12. Now, yes, Democrats would still be in the minority by 1 seat, but Democrats are going to win the House majority in 2026 by more than 1 seat. Just putting it out there, they are. And even if they didn't, Democrats might gerrymander in response to Florida, might gerrymander on addition to Virginia, gerrymander Maryland. And that would even it out once again to give Democrats 12 to Republicans 12 seats to gerrymander in the states of California, Virginia, possibly Maryland, and I wouldn't say it's gerrymandering in Utah because it's de-gerrymandering Utah because it's a 4-4 map with 0 Democratic representation when Democrats routinely get about 40% of the vote in the state of Utah. 38. Now Democrats get 25% representation, so it's not really gerrymandering in the state of Utah. It's ungerrymandering Republicans, but it could even out the playing field. And what I also want to talk about here is some language about this article about Florida. DeSantis said that the legislators should wait as long as possible before drawing the map so that they can get guidance from the U.S. Supreme Court. What he means by this is they want to wait as long as possible because they want to see if the Supreme Court guts the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, to be specific. The Voting Rights Act is the act that forces states to give representation to minority voters, in states that otherwise would not get that representation. For example, the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act forces Alabama to give 2 Democratic seats. Otherwise, in 2022, they only had 1. And then because this disenfranchised voters in the state of Alabama, disenfranchised black voters in the state of Alabama, they were forced to redraw ahead of the 2024 election to give Democrats an extra seat in the state of Alabama. And even before that, it wasn't before that. Democrats have always had this 1 seat. But it's why that the Voting Rights Act is why Democrats had these 2 seats in Alabama, why Democrats have this 1 seat in Mississippi, why they have these 2 seats in Louisiana, etc. If the Supreme Court were to gut the Voting Rights Act, Florida could not redistrict 5 seats. They could redistrict 8. They could redistrict all the seats in the state of Florida. They can make Florida a 28 to 0 map. Because right now they can't gerrymander all the Democratic seats without it being stricken down by the Supreme Court. Not by the Supreme Court, but by courts, because the map would be unconstitutional. If the Voting Rights Act is taken down, they would be able to gerrymander Florida 28-0. They'd be able to gerrymander Texas to 38-0. They'd be able to gerrymander Florida, but they'd be able to gerrymander Alabama to 7-0, Louisiana to 4-0, South Carolina to 7-0, etc. It would be a bloodbath for Democrats and Republicans too, to an extent, because that goes both ways. It's the act that forces Democrats to give Republicans representation in the state of California. If it's gutted, Democrats would make California a 52-0 map. 51-1 if Republicans would be lucky. They would gerrymander California to be overwhelmingly for the Democratic Party. They would snake districts in LA and San Diego and San Francisco, etc., to these Republican districts to disenfranchise the Republican voters in Eastern California, just like Republicans will be doing in Alabama to disenfranchise black voters in Central Alabama. The same thing Democrats would do in the state of New York. They would snake New York City districts up to Northern California to disenfranchise Republican voters in Northern California. That's why this would be so. It would just be a bloodbath if the Voting Rights Act got demolished. The Republicans would lose seats. Republicans would gain seats in states like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. I don't know how much they could gerrymander out of Georgia with Atlanta, but they would gerrymander Georgia. They would not Alabama, not more than Alabama at least. They would gerrymander South Carolina, probably another one out of North Carolina. They would gerrymander some more out of Texas, etc. It would just be a bloodbath. And Democrats would respond. They would do the same. They would gerrymander a whole bunch of seats out of California, quite a few out of New York. They would gerrymander some out of New Jersey, etc. The point is that the Voting Rights Act is basically the backbone of democracy in the House of Representatives. It's what gives minorities say in states that are lopsided. It's what gives Democrats representation in Alabama. It's what gives Republicans representation in California and New York, etc. Okay, I've been going on a tangent. This video is supposed to be just about the New York City district being overturned from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party ahead of the 2026 midterms. So that's what the video is, and that's how I want to wrap up the video. This is going to bring the redistricting war to 7-7 nationwide. Republicans are going to be gerrymander 7 seats. Democrats are now going to gerrymander 7 seats. Not really gerrymander 5 and uphold 2 that were, according to this judge and the judge in Utah, that were racially motivated, that disenfranchised Black and Latino voters in their districts. And yeah, that's about enough for this video. If you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to like the video, to subscribe to my channel. I upload election news daily. I hope you turn on notifications so you can see when I upload this election news. And yeah, I hope you have a great day.